9th August 2024, we are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. Apart from editorial, we will discuss one article from Business Standards. It is about Indian economy. Today's quote, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. It was told by Steve Jobs. You know, Steve Jobs already worked for Apple company. Whatever you are doing, suppose say you are studying for UPSC, suppose say you are preparing for some job, or suppose say you are working for some company, you must be involved in the process. You should love the process. Then only you can get the result. Then only you can feel it. It is okay. If you don't like it, leave it, and then immediately find another area where your interest lies. So it will definitely will help you to reach higher position. Today's first article is about just transition. So this article is very important from climate change aspect, even from recent Supreme Court judgment also. In April 2024, in MK Ranjit Singh versus Union of India, Supreme Court recognized human right against adverse impact of climate change. This decision has huge significant implications. There are even several reactions from the people. For some people, it was a win for climate action. For others, it failed to protect the endangered biodiversity. What do you mean by endangered? Endangered, vulnerable. These are all the category which will be used by United Nations for basically classifying the animal, flora, fauna kingdom. If we take a practical position, in earlier opinion article, there was one article, Great Indian Bustard and Climate Action Verdict. This was presented on April 17, 2024. The writer mapped on the course of court to adapt its final decision. That is, the core issue of using the just transition. This concept is very important. Since the court is due to deliver its decision soon, this article gives a deeper insight into advantage of adapting this just transition. And first thing, it will facilitate equitable and inclusion environment climate action. What is equitable? Everyone, those who are good, those who are not good, they will be put at same position. Even inclusive, they will bring all together under the same umbrella. Second thing, what climate the just transition will do, it will break the new ground by introducing nature or a new human environment as an entity in addition to human concept. Earlier, the non-human entity has been excluded. Now it can include this one also. It will strengthen the research on just transition litigation, even by importing the, now there are many cases in Supreme Court, High Court. We have recently discussed also 4 to 5 crore cases are pending. In that, almost many cases are related to environment. This just transition will definitely help in giving important judgment in decisions. If we see, just transition is not a new concept. However, this concept introduction to climate change is a recent term. To put it simply, just transition is, it aims to remove climate action and brings inclusive and fair area. Basically, what it does is, suppose say there are some people in area, so they are affected by climate change. Some area people are not affected by climate change. So what happens is it will bring the just action to both of them. So by including all the areas, that's what burdens and benefits of the decarbonization are equitably distributed equitably. Concept just transition came in 1970 to protect the workers. The jobs were being threatened by increasing environment regulations. Because of many environmental things, their jobs were protected, and during that time just transition came. Later this concept was brought into a lot of debates on climate change, even international trade union movement also. The direct impact of decarbonization was workers employed in the carbon intensive economies. We might have seen during industrial revolution period, there was huge use of coal by USA, even Great Britain. So they used all the coal, they generated all the pollution. So that time people revolted, and then this concept came. This concept was under discussion, but it came into highlight in 1970s. In 2015, International Treaty on Climate Change, Paris Climate Change, it was included. Even United States-based SEBIN Center for Climate Change also notes just transition will help other person in vulnerable situation. So this will help in climate friendly way. What are all the communities that have been benefited from these vulnerable sections? That could be included, indigenous community, those residing in that area, women, children, even minorities also. We have seen several times that those who are living in forest area, indigenous community, they have been exploited because of the climate change. One side they are protecting, and second side we are just calling them uncivilized and then utilizing the resources of the environment. That is very bad. Due to the existing vulnerability, they are at higher risk of being adversely affected by decarbonization. Accordingly, concept this includes only human beings. So just transition, just talked about human thing. Now, despite its vulnerability to climate change, this non-human environment has not been recognized as a subject of just transition. So non-human environment, animal, flora, fauna, all are part of kingdom. So this thing to be included, just transition will include this thing also. In MK Ranjit Singh, protection of endangered bird, great Indian bustard. This is in endangered category. This impact from adverse impact of the solar and wind energy projects. It is very good moment for court to frame issues using just transition, and then it can court with this historic with its historic decision. It can increase the boundaries of this decision. Key advantages flow from taking the just transition approach. First thing, just transition allows code to facilitate equitable and inclusive climate action. Right way, it will bring all the people under the same thing. So most of the people why criticized court judgment because court failed to understand by comparing decarbonization and biodiversity protection. Court always tells that they are not separate thing, they are together. But one cannot be prioritized. See, biodiversity protection is a big area, and then decarbonization is also another area. So biodiversity protection, decarbonization, these two are not two separate entities. These are two only single entity. So you need to protect the environment. Yet a lot of people see them as the adversarial choice because conservation of great Indian bustard as an environment whole, and then see decarbonization itself will include conservation of great Indian bustard. So great Indian bustard, whether they are taking or not, we don't know. But what court decision may include is decarbonization itself will include protection of great Indian bustard means it is a wrong decision. It presents biodiversity protection for small public interest. That's what it will become a smaller priority, and decarbonization becomes a huge priority. This type of framing will give the judiciary existing approach in renewable energy cases also. Previously, various courts labeled decarbonization as being the larger public benefit, while several communities, even vulnerable communities that have been included as a smaller public benefit. What they will tell is, suppose this is the forest area, there are many people, vulnerable communities, all the plaintiffs. So, what author is telling is, suppose a judiciary decision is to protect this decarbonization. So all the people inside is already protected, but they are given lesser priority. This is the higher priority. They'll focus on decarbonization. We do not know whether these communities are helped or not. In such cases, this just transition will prevent equitable climate action. Also, the courts to strengthen decarbonization efforts and interest of the community, affected community will also be in wrong direction. In other words, it will facilitate responsive mitigate action. However, burdens of decarbonization are not proportionately distributed. Thus, given the nature of the core issue, the present case is wonderful opportunity to quote, to understand the case and then to implement the just transition approach. This will give the way for taking more holistic approach while understanding, Great Indian Bustard, and then this project power transmission lines. They will, protection of Great Indian Bustard need not be treated as adversarial to decarbonization. See, you need to protect Great Indian Bustard, and then there is some project is happening. So this not to be treated as a adverse thing. They should be treated as separately. Same importance should be given. This will set equitable and inclusive climate action. Lastly, quote needs to be noted that the consequence of adopting this approach will not be anti-energy transition or anti-climate. This will help in decommissioning this will not lead into decommissioning of the renewable energy project. Suppose say we are including and protecting the great Indian bustard, it doesn't mean we need to destroy those projects. The question before court is limited to determining the feasibility of placing power transmission lines underground. So how it need to be faced, so separate mechanism need to be ensured. This just transition will enable responsible and informed operation of renewable energy projects and will not decommission them. Instead of being anti-climate, this will belong to a new category of climate litigation emerging globally. So it will give the pro-just climate action. Second advantage from it involving just transition will be is that this case provides opportunity to court to expand this concept just transition, even including non-human entity as also affected entity. Nature does not feature as a subject in the concept in the just transition, so it basically will give opportunity to judges. By and large, the affected community is limited to human beings. Now we include non-human beings also. The final thing is using this concept will give huge importance to litigations in the country. So this there are several cases are there. So this concept will enhance and then include just a transition and in the climate area also. Climate law research is also focusing on mapping just transition litigation in different parts of the world. Given significant number of renewable energy cases in India, this mapping exercise of just transition is overdue. It needs to be done. If this concept is introduced in the present case, it would help in propelling this much needed research. Few of the cases have already been identified as a climate litigation. However, it is not just transition litigation specifically. So just transition is not included in them. For example, if you see Sabin Center for Climate Change and Law Climate Litigation Database, so there they do not appear in the list of just transition cases. Quote use this concept, it could facilitate relevant research, filling the gap between our collective knowledge about the just transition litigation. With increasing number of countries adapting to move towards net zero, even our country is aspiring to become net zero by 2070. So just transition litigation is bound to rise. Land Conflict Watch, this is one NGO, it basically reports 20 ongoing disputes in the renewable energy projects in India. Equitable sharing of burdens, benefits arising from decarbonization is central to all these disputes. So now it is relevant and it is a movement for introducing this concept in India. The court should do it now. So it will help in bringing equitable climate action, whether through law or litigation. They can be implemented in parliament also, whether through it is through our justice system also. It is very good article. Next article is about Vinesha Fogett, who despite being went to final area where she could have easily got gold or silver. However, just being missed by 100 gram of weight, she disqualified from the event, and then it became heartbroken moment for a lot of Indians. So we'll discuss this article from individual point of view. Olympics see every 4 years, one time it happens Olympics. So for that, athletes they have to prepare a lot. They have to face a lot of mental stress. They have to maintain their diet. They have to even work hard daily. Daily they have to motivate themselves. So these 4 years they have to put blood and sweat every day. So being all these things, involving all these things at the end, if they are going to final stage also, then there is no guarantee that even they can win a medal. The same is the case with Vinisha Fogata. So it became a tale for Vinisha Phogat in Paris on Wednesday. 29-year-old Vinisha Phogat belongs to Haryana. She was in good form and then she entered into final in women's 50 kg segment. However, Olympics dream of her gold gotten and phased out. Why? Because she was found to 100 grams more than stipulated 50 kg at 7:50 a.m. So whenever they are going to fight at in the morning, they have to take mandatory weighment. So when they were taking weighings, so it was found that she's 100 grams more than actually 50 kg. So then she was disqualified, and then a lot of news came across the media, and then even India also a lot of people supported her. Now she's we were expecting all India was expecting gold or silver. However, so this is very heartbreaking moment. She was weighed 49.90 kg on Tuesday morning. So she acquired a massive weight on the day after the semi-final. Vinisha didn't interact much with even journalists also. So this gives a clear voice that are conscious about. There are many people who knows that she was weighing some 52.7 kg. Even their support staff also knows that they could have avoided these things. To do this thing, they did all these things on that night itself. She, in order to lose the weight, she did many action. Like she stayed starved herself. She didn't take water. Even she did all kind of exercises. Even induced nausea were also attempted. Finally, she could able to achieve, but she was higher than just 100 grams and above. Even she faced a lot of issue. One great thing we can talk about Vinisha Phogat is her body is weighing around some 55 kg, and it is great that she wanted to compete in 50 kg. For that, she needs a lot of mental stress and resilience. She could have easily gone into 253 kg, but there is already a star rising in that category, antifungal. There is one person in the antifungal, so he's already rising. So she might thought 50 kg might be awesome. So we could have won the medal, but now it is need to be seen. United World Wrestling, the sports governing body, basically about wrestling, it is clear that rules pertaining to body should be very systematic. If athletes fail to weigh in, he or she shall be eliminated from the competition and ranked last. So this is the same thing happened to her. So they didn't take any reservations towards Vinisha Phogat. In the larger scheme, if we understand Vinisha Phogat, her rise towards final in the podium, it gives a clear metaphor where she had fought against sexual injustice, against Brij Bhushan and Delhi last year. We don't need to discuss these things about, these are all highly political things, but this is a fact. We can't deny it. So, as far as I concerned, we avoid the political things. But anger over Vinisha's exist. Even after that incident, Vinisha, she gave retirement and she retired from Olympics. Even the sports also she retired. So her anger can be understood. So one thing is very important. Rules are very important. They are sacrosanct. Vinisha found to be at the wrong end, and her retirement announcement also left Indian sport poorer. While she has put case in justice court for giving a joint silver medal, so it is under consideration. Let us see what decision will come out. But very sad to see. Next article is about growth miracle Indian economy. It talks about all article talks about in financial year 2025 recent seventh union budget presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman assumed the real gross domestic product will be growth will be around GDP growth will be around 6.5%. Even our latest economic survey they forecasted around 6.5 to 7% real economic growth. Whether reformers are asking for more, whether it is okay. They are even urging the government to make it to 8, 9, even 10% or higher. Aiming this higher growth become a sort of test to government, government's authority. One important thankful issue, thankful we can is India's growth rate of 6.5% is achievable. Even after COVID pandemic also within 3 years we have achieved such a task. So most of the people say second generation reforms are very much needed. But slowdown in the growth during the 3 years preceding the pan confirm that these apprehensions there was slowdown. Now, recently we have achieved 8.2% GDP in 23-24. So this is a welcome move. Even 24 economic survey pointed out that we have reached return to pre-pandemic growth trajectory. If you see world countries, United States, sorry, return to its growth trajectory. It went, it gone down, then again it is coming second time. Even Europe also is yet to come back. It is still in the same area. China got back quickly from pre-pandemic trajectory, but after that it has gone down continuously. India's recovery is very strengthened and it remains in the same position. That means the growth is guaranteed for few more years. That is very good area where we can celebrate. One area why these high growth rates are risen in India is because of the huge capital expenditure by center. If you see, critics say that such increase will not be sustainable because every time government cannot spend, government spending will not increase the growth. Increase would happen at the expense of fiscal consolidation. So fiscal consolidation should happen at the same time. It will also cause to increase public debt to GDP ratio to rise. So public debt to GDP ratio, what it denotes, basically borrowing capacity of the country. So it will rise. When borrowing capacity of the country rises, the country need to pay a lot of interest. So whatever amount it has to be, it is generating in India, it will go through revenue account only. Capital expenditure will come down. That's what they say. Unless they are telling private investment need to grow, then growth will happen, then the employment opportunities will happen. If you see central government capital expenditure with as a proportion of GDP, it doubled from 1.7% in financial year 2022, 3.4% in financial 2025. It is less compared to developed countries, but still we are going in progressive direction. Gross fiscal deficit is projected to rise from 4.6% to merely 4.9% of GDP. And the public debt to GDP ratio fell from it is also reduced in public debt to GDP ratio. Growth remains robust without rise in private investment. Public investment led growth has turned out to be more sustainable than analysts had thought. So that's what author is telling. The reforms now even bring for greater GDP growth driven by C, more fiscal consolidation, more privatization, more reforms, and more free trade. All these things happen. So good thing is going to happen. Growth of 7 period or long term. Basically, one area we need to consider is middle income countries. What is a middle income country? World Bank development report states that there are several countries that are facing out to break this middle income trap. That is per capita income ranging from $1136 to 13,845. Now India is in this category, middle income category. If India wants to join higher income category by 2047, we know why 2047. Viksit Bharat. India wants to become developed nation by 2047. So if India wants to rank higher income countries by 2047, by growing at least 7% of the real GDP growth rate for next 2 decades, so 20 years, it has to grow that 7%. It should continuously happen. This means replicating the record of South Korea. South Korea, what they did, they successfully broken out themselves from middle income category to high income category. So, World Development Report put such an ambitious note, not only for India, even other aspirants also. There are several countries across the world. Given the changes in the global economy, since the Korea had left middle income economy, it is fair to conclude that it may take another 50 years to go what Korea did in just 25 years. Korea did just 25 years to break this middle income trap to category. India, it may take 50 years, not only India, even several countries. Even World Development Report tells that student of economics from slow growth model, increase in investment only up to certain point. So investment cause growth up to certain point. After that, many things need to happen. One thing, we need to increase the productivity. For productivity to grow, there should be a newer technology and innovation should happen. These steps are more difficult to achieve in initial stage, simply raising the level of investment in economy. You bring the investment, you install the equipment. So this thing is not enough. You need to increase the productivity, you need to bring the technology. So this thing should go in tandem. Growth in middle income country is rising and then again slowing. Average annual income growth in this country slipped by just one third in the first 2 decades of the century. See, 5% to 3.5%. Average annual income is reducing. So that means they are not going towards upward side. So trajectory. One side income, economic growth is happening. In case of India, economic growth is happening, GDP growth is happening, but people income is not rising. This means that only few are being benefited. Rest of our people are living in this middle income trap only. Middle income trap. We have discussed this article, middle income trap. So this area we need to break up. For that need to happen, we need to increase the productivity of the worker. We need to give them the skill set. Today, middle income country face a lot of issues. One is geopolitical issues, even fragmentation of the world economy, higher debt serving obligations, even the cost of climate change also being impacting. World Development Report also complements study conducted by leadership of Nobel laureate Michael Spence. The study gave that 7% growth over 25 years from any starting point. Suppose say today, 2024. So within 25 years, that means like 20 by 2047, 49, we can come out of this middle income trap and then we can become developed economies. Author says there are 13 economies that can do. India is also part of this. Nearly half of them, that means 6 and above, are small economies. They are growing rapidly after the post world war, and they are open to free trade also. If in India's case, if India can manage to sustain growth rate 6.5% over 2 decades, starting from this middle income category status, it can definitely achieve the feat of high income category. This to happen, we need to make a lot of changes. Those who would aim to hire think that they have to fix several things in Indian economy, but it is not the case. They are mistaken. Basically, that's what others say. We have to consider many serious constraints to growth and stability that is resulting from outside. Suppose say recently geopolitical tensions happened in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh, we have a lot of trade, almost 18 billion. So it basically gives a ripple effect. It impacts the people, it impacts the mindset and all. We need to consider external area also. This geopolitical tension in recent weeks, even financial markets across the world are even raising the interest rate by their World Bank. This will give a lot of issues. Economic survey is conservative about growth rate in financial 2025. So it is very well founded. So let's see what happens. This is very good article. How to break out of middle income category to high income category. We have to achieve the 6.5 to 7% continuously. We have discussed three articles. Just a transition. Vinisha Fogart case in Olympic. Very sad to know. Let's see. Hopefully the court give good judgment. Third thing is about middle income category to high income category article. So that's it today. Thank you. Thank you very much for discussion.